I think it's one of the prettiest things I've made this year, I've made ever. For most of the socks I'm going to show you now, I've made a slight modification. I think I might try to dye this. Not the healthiest, not the best for my hands, but really productive. And actually what is my project number 100 this year, which Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Oline and I'm a knitter from Norway, and welcome to my knitting podcast. Here I talk about all things knitting, current projects, finished projects, planned projects. I talk a bit about yarn sometimes, just anything that pops into my head while we sit here and chat. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with me this week. It's been a whirlwind of a week. I don't know how to put it. It's been crazy in terms of knitting. I've been able to get a lot done. I don't think it's been the healthiest, but I'm really excited to share with you. But before we dive into that, I wanted to share a little bit about what I'm wearing, and I finally dug my Eva Cardigan out of my closet. This is a perfect fall staple. I use it a lot during fall, but it has one huge downside, and that is that since this is such a dark color, first of all, it's super dark. I think it's the navy blue, if it's not the darker Pergint color. I knit this in Pergint, Sandskan Pergint, but since it is so dark, and also I think since the Pergint is such a scratchy yarn, this attracts animal hair and also my hair, to be honest, like crazy. Just wearing this for a couple of minutes around the house doing stuff, this starts looking more and more like fur and less like an actual cardigan. So that is one huge downside. It's still worth it to me because this is an amazing cardigan, but it definitely takes a lot more upkeep than some of my other cardigans and sweaters that are in lighter colors, or in colors that just hide the animal hairs a bit better. They really, both animals' hairs and my hair stand out a lot on this, so that is the one huge downside. But other than that, I love everything about this. This was my first time trying Pergint, and I didn't have the best first impression because it was really scratchy to work with. It would scratch me through multiple layers of like blankets and pants and everything. So I was scared when I was working with this, but after washing it and also wearing it a couple of times with long-sleeved t-shirts underneath, it's been no issue after that, which I'm really thankful for, because I prefer to wear my cardigans with just t-shirts or tank tops underneath. So this still works for that. I'm really happy that Pergint really softened up so much with, I think it's been a couple of washes now and a lot of wear. I think this is my third year wearing this. I think so. I made it in 2023 and wore it a lot then, and I wore it in 2024, and now I'm wearing it in 2025. So I'm into the third year of wearing this now, and Pergint is definitely a yarn that you have to like wear to make it softer, so you have to be able to stand it in the beginning. But I think, especially since this is a v-neck, this is the area from like the collarbone to my chin is the area where I find wool, especially mohair, to itch the most and to be the most uncomfortable. This is definitely my most sensitive area, and it doesn't really touch any of that. So that's made it a lot more bearable in the beginning when I had to like wear it soft, and then I was able to just wear long sleeve t-shirts, and just by doing that it wouldn't touch any of my skin, and I was able to like wear it. And I don't know why it wears softer. I think you just loosen the stitches up maybe. So this was really great for an itch, even though it was itchy in the beginning. This was a really great pattern for that, to like wear it soft. So that's my recommendation if you want to try Pergint but you are afraid it's going to be scratchy, or you react a bit more to scratchy yarn. Try something a bit like looser v-neck, because this isn't like tight to my skin at all. This v-neck, it's really loose and it's also quite deep, so all of this area you're good with, and you don't need to wear short sleeve under the rest of it. So that's my pro tip if you want to work with scratchy yarn. But yeah, I think that's all I'm going to say about my Eva cardigan. I think I used 13 or 14 skeins of the Pergint to make this in size medium. I don't know if I did anything to the pattern. I might have cropped it a little bit because I usually do, but other than that, I'm pretty sure I followed this to the T, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. It is definitely a staple in my fall wardrobe and pretty much the rest of the year too. I especially love these buttons that give a bit of a contrast, but the buttons are definitely way too big for the buttonhole, so it is a bit of a hassle to both button and unbutton, but I'll say it's worth it because I've really been enjoying the contrast, and also they have a bit of a texture to them, which I think has been really enjoyable. But that really is all for the Eva cardigan, and we're going to head into this week and everything I knit. I don't know where to start because, as I said, I've been able to do a lot. I have, for the whole month of August, had a goal to knit my scrap yarn. Not all of it, because I have a lot of scrap yarn, but I picked out quite a few skeins, probably too much to ever make it a good idea, but I did pick out the skeins I thought I would be able to get through this month. I'll show it to you here. I really want to get through all of these, and I thought giving myself a month where I'm solely going to focus on scrap yarn will make it easier to actually do it, instead of trying to say to myself that I will do one scrap yarn project in between all of my other projects, because I've tried that before and I just fall off the wagon immediately. So I decided to dedicate the month of August to scrap yarn. I thought that would be like the perfect fit. But right after August started, I kind of forgot about it. I did one scrap yarn project and then I forgot about it, did all of my other projects, tried to finish off all of my summer projects, and then when I remembered that, oh no, I'm supposed to be doing scrap yarn projects, we were halfway into August. I think I remembered to start doing it again the 15th of August or something. And it is scrap yarn project, so I'm able to get through them quite quickly, but I had also planned a lot. So that's what I've been struggling with the last couple of weeks. And it's not like it's a big deal if I can't get it done in August, but I'm really bad at like jumping ship, abandoning my projects. If I say to myself that I want something done by the end of August, I'll do anything necessary to get there, even if it's not the healthiest. So that's basically what this week has been. I still have, when this week started, I still had the majority of the projects left to do. I think I had maybe 15 or something projects left to do, and I'm still not done, but I've been focusing a lot on scrap yarn this week. But I think we'll start with the finished projects, and I'll try to do it in the order I've knit them in, but we'll just have to see how that goes. But I know that the first thing I finished was this suit. This was also featured on last week's podcast. I had just started working on it then. I'd gotten quite far because this is on large needles, but this is the Briskeby winter suit by Indiblomst. I love this suit. I think it's one of the prettiest things I've made this year, I've made ever. I'm so happy with my yarn choice and pattern choice for this. I had some mohair print in the color rainbow, I think, that I really wanted out of my stash. It was one full skein, but I've also counted full skeins as scrap yarn. So I decided to pair that with some other white yarn I had in my stash. I think it was Viking Garn superwash, which was just a DK weight superwash white yarn, and together they made the right thickness for the suit. I think the recommended for yarn for the suit is yarns like Drops Nepal, but pairing those two together, first of all, made this lovely marling rainbow effect, which I think is so cute for a baby garment, and it also gave it a little halo. I don't know if you can see that, but I think it's so cute. I think it would also be cute in Nepal, but it would definitely be stiffer and a bit of a different garment, even though it is the same gauge. This is also the size, I think 1 to 3 months, 0 to 3 months, 3 to 6 months. I can't remember. It's not 3 to 6 months. I think it's 1 to 3 months. And that was, I think in the pattern that said that for that size you need about 450 meters, which was pretty much exactly what I had of the Thin Silk Mohair print from Sandnes Garn that I wanted to get out of my stash, but I don't know why, but when I paired them I still ended up having quite a lot left of that print yarn, so don't know what I'm going to do with that, but I'm probably going to make some sort of hat to go with this, maybe the Stormy Weather hat in a white fingering weight, and then that mohair. I think that would go together, and I think in that size I would be able to use up all of my yarn. So that's the first thing I finished, and even though I have a little scrap of the mohair print still left, I'm counting this as a successful scrap yarn project, because I did it, and if I'm going to continue adding on projects until I'm 100% done with all of my scraps, I'll never get through it. And then after that I started working on more of the smaller projects, because I was getting stressed out that the list was so long and it took me so long to get the different things checked off. So I think first off I started doing socks. So I did these socks first, I think. These are the Sunday Sock Junior by Petiteknit, but for most of the socks I'm going to show you now, I've made a slight modification. I think the smallest size in the pattern is 20 to 21 or something, but that's huge for a baby. So I've looked at other like, what's it called, sock patterns that go all the way down to baby, but that I don't think fit quite as well as the Sunday Sock Junior. And then I've looked at the length from the toe to the heel of those. I think quite a few years ago when I did this calculation, and then I found out how many rows I had to do between the heel decreases here to when you start the toe decreases here. And I found that if I do 10 rows, I'll get a good sized baby sock. It's still not for newborns, but since this ribbing is so long, you can use it for newborns because the ribbing makes it stay on. So you just get socks that fit all the way from 0 months up until, I think, 6 months, which is great because that means you'll probably during those 6 months enter into a season where socks are good, at least here in Norway. So I make these socks a lot. I think I've given them to every single baby that has been born since I figured out how to do that modification. And when doing this modification, it takes about exactly 30 grams of yarn. If you have a 50 gram skein that runs 100 meters, then it takes 30 grams. So it's great for scraps too. So I did that first, and when I first started doing these socks, I thought, why not just continue? So then I cast on another pair. These are almost even cuter, but I had a bit less yarn, I think, for this skein of brown yarn, that I only had 28 or maybe even less yarn. So for these, the ribbing is a little bit shorter, which is also great with this. They won't stay on quite as well, but the ribbing is still quite long, so it will still stay on quite well. And then I still got to make the full length sock. These will probably also fit a size 0 to 6 months, but they'll just not stay on quite as well. But I really don't think it should be an issue. These, the last pair, if I didn't say, are made in Drops Lima in the color white. I think this is the white. And then these are knit Me Merino, I think, in the color brown. I'm a bit unsure because this is a yarn that I'm not that familiar with and was just a known scrap to me, but I think that's what it is. And these turned out super cute. I think these are my favorite pair. But I didn't stop there because I still had more of that like DK weight yarn that I had around 30 grams of. So I made another pair. I've made multiple of these Sunday Socks Junior in this size, in this color actually. But this is, again, Sunday Sock Junior in the baby modification. Here I used Sandnes Garn Merino in the color Mauve or something. This yarn I got from the Sandnes Garn outlets. I'm not 100% sure. Here I think I made the ribbing a little bit longer because I had a little bit more yarn than exactly 30 grams. I just think the ribbing is a great way to use up all of your yarn. But you have to do the ribbing at the start, so you kind of have to gamble a little bit, but it worked out for me. And here they are really cute, and both the brown and this pair is knit in some sort of merino, so these are also really soft. They are a bit more slippery, so they don't stay on as well, but that's, you know, the ribbing saves that. These that are in a wool alpaca blend are more grippy and stays on even better. The merino, especially this that is superwash, is a bit more slippery and kind of, I don't know how to explain it, but it is nice, grippy, but the babies are not using these to walk anyway, so it's not that huge of a problem, and they stay on better than most baby socks, so I am a huge fan of those socks. Then, while I was at it with my like staples when it comes to knitting, the knits I make every baby, I decided to make another Stormy weather hat. This is double-stranded in, I think it's Sandnes Garn Sunday. I had about 1 skein and I made size 3 to 6, which took up basically that whole skein. The scrap I had left when I finished was so small that that doesn't count. Here it is. I think it turned out really pretty. I love the way the Sunday looks together double-stranded, but I don't know if I love this color. It's like beige, but it's a really cool toned beige. So I don't know if I'm a fan of the color to begin with, and then for a baby as well. I don't love cool tones for babies. I think warm tones are better for babies. I don't know why, but that's just my opinion. So I think with this one, either I might give it away to someone who likes beige and cold tones better than me, but I also thought I might try to dye this because it is a quite like plain slate. It should be fine to dye this since it is so close to white. But yeah, this is the Stormy weather hat by Strikkesoffe in 3 to 6 months. This pattern is also great for stash busting. All of the sizes take less than 2 skeins, and the smallest sizes, the 2 smallest sizes, takes less than 1 skein, depending on how long your skeins run, of course. But for almost all skeins I've tried, the 2 smallest sizes are less than a skein. So here this is. Really happy with how this turned out. When I started making the socks and the hat. As you can see, these are like bright white and this is cool tone beige. When I started, I thought these could work with the suit, but this has a warm white. It's like a off-white as the base, and then the mohair print has a lot of yellow in it, so this is really warm tone, so it doesn't suit the best with either of these. This almost starts to look a bit blue next to it, and this is also too white, so that's not going to be a set, but I think it will make great baby gifts separately, and this also might get dyed. So after that I was done with 5 projects this week, and I started to feel a little bit better, but I was still stressed. And then I did more socks because I was already into the Sunday sock pattern, so I thought, why not? These are again the Sunday sock junior, but this is an actual size in the pattern because I had a little bit bigger of a scrap when it came to do this. This is Rauma Garn Vandre, which is a Norwegian sock yarn, which is actually 100% wool, but the fibers are really long, so when you wash it the first time, they're supposed to intertwine in a way that makes it less likely to wear holes. Is what I was told when I got this yarn the first time. I got this yarn to make my brother's Sunday socks for last year's Christmas or the Christmas before that. His socks was in this color here, this beige here, but I didn't have enough yarn to do the toe on his socks, so I got this brown yarn to do the toe, which left me with a tiny scrap of the beige yarn and a huge scrap of the brown, so I just flipped those around and made the main sock in the brown, and then I actually ran out of yarn, so I had to tap into the beige, so that was perfect. I got through both of my scraps, both the big one and the super small one. I think this was like 3 grams. And the size I made, I have to think a little bit, but I think the size I made was 22 to 23 or something, so quite a bit bigger than the baby socks, but still small socks. My son really wanted this, but they're unfortunately not his size, so I maybe have to get more of the Rauma Vandre. It's not my favorite yarn to work with. It is Norwegian wool, and again, super scratchy. These I haven't washed. I've never washed this yarn before because I gave it to my brother unwashed, just with instructions on how to do it. But it is a scratchy yarn, and it is not great to work with. It is really stiff to work with. Per Gynt, in comparison, is much easier to actually work with, but can just be a bit scratchy when being worn or being like rubbed against you, whereas this is really hard on my fingers. But I got through this little pair, and now I don't have any more of this yarn in my stash at all, which I'm really happy with. And that was the last of the sock knitting for this week. It's been more than enough. And then I picked up another project I'd started a little bit on last week. I started on this Little Sisters romper last week, right after I'd finished another Little Sisters romper, but I got tired of just repeating the pattern right after each other, and then I jumped into repeating another pattern. But repeating the Sunday sock pattern is easier because it goes by so quickly, whereas the Little Sister romper takes some time, so it's not as fun to repeat. And also this is beige, which is not my favorite color to knit with. It's not super inspiring, so I put this away for a while, but then I picked it back up and just kind of closed my eyes and got through it, which has kind of been my mantra this whole week. Not the best when it comes to knitting, not the healthiest, not the best for my hands, but really productive. So I don't know if there is a lot to say about this. I don't have a lot to say about most of my projects because I've kind of just been making them while being in some sort of haze. But this is in Drops Baby Merino, in the color beige. It's a very uninspiring color, but I think it's going to be really cute once it gets buttons, hopefully some colorful ones. And while I don't love knitting with beige, I way prefer like a lighter beige or a brown, just this in-between color. Not for me, but I think it's great to actually have in a baby's wardrobe because it is so very, very, very neutral, so it works with most things. And since this is romper as well, it's very easy to throw this on and then have some pants over it or under it or some sort of thing, just to have a little like wool thing in the outfit. I think our basic is nice. I think it's nice to have, just not nice to knit, but I got through it and cast on another one right away. This was the last this was the last Little Sisters romper I had planned to do with my scrap yarn, so I thought might as well get it over with. And this is also in a color I like way more. This is again Drops Baby Merino, but this is in the color Blush. And this one I knit in the size 2 to 4 months, since I had about a skein of this. And this one I knit in 0 to 1 month because I had about 30 grams. I think I had 40 grams maybe, which was just enough to make this. And since this was a smaller size, it also went by quicker, which was really nice. I was able to just fly through this really. I think I knitted in a bit over a day. Maybe I started one evening and then I finished the next day. I made one mistake on this though that I hope is noticeable. I didn't notice it until I was done, so I don't think I'm going to rip and go back. But for the front section here of the romper, I used the wrong needle size. I worked in the round with my needles here, but then when I was supposed to just work up here, I found it easier to change into DPNs. And I just picked up my DPNs. I have them in a little map where they're separated like 2.5mm needles, 3mm needles, 3.5mm needles. So I thought I reached and grabbed for my 3mm needles. And when I cast off and was going to set them back, I realized, oh, the only like section where there's only 3 needles instead of 5 is the 3.5mm needle. So this front section is knit with half a needle size bigger, but is it that noticeable? I don't think so. It lines up with the back well. It is a bit more drapey maybe. You can notice it the best on this garter stitch edge, but it's not super noticeable. I don't think it should be noticeable at all after washing, so I'm going to leave it. But that was another project I finished. I don't know how many finished projects we're at now. But at least I'm done with Little Sisters rompers for now. And then I continued. I had, I don't know what I'm going to call these skeins. I had some hand-dyed skeins that I've had for quite some years now in my stash that I really wanted to get out of my stash with this scrap yarn challenge, and this was one of them. I don't remember what the yarn is called. I'll put it on screen, but I find it really hard to work with yarns that are so variegated and not like evenly. It starts with one color here and then it just completely turns color into another color at the end here, so I had no idea what to do, but I decided a Sophie scarf is a safe bet, because when you tie it together it kind of evens it out, and I don't know if I would use it myself because I also don't use Sophie scarf that much, but I think it turned into a really cool Sophie scarf, and I also think that when you do actually tie it, that it kind of works together better than it would if I had made a like sweater of some sort. I don't think I could have made a sweater with this amount of yarn. I had about 140 meters, and I actually didn't cut the yarn. The yarn ends that you see here, that's all of the yarn. So this was a really satisfying project to knit up, because it used up absolutely everything. But yeah, I am happy with what I was able to turn this skein into. I think it's way more likely that this is going to get used, like gifted away to someone who will use it, now that it's actually been knit up, instead of it just being in the back of my stash somewhere hiding. So this is something I'm really happy I was able to make something with this scrap yarn challenge, because this has been one of the skeins that has been like bothering me the most, because it is a quite pretty skein, but I just have had no idea what to do with it, but I finally figured it out. And then my last finished project this week, and actually what is my project number 100 this year, which feels crazy to be at project number 100 before August is done, but this is my project number 100, and also one of the knits I found the cutest this week, and that is this one. This is a bit of a modified December bow knit in some silk yarn. I can't remember the name of the silk yarn. I think it's called Mana something maybe, and I can't remember the color name either, but it was... I have no idea anymore, because it's been a while since this went from being a skein to being a scrap, so the label is long gone, and it's not the yarn that I got myself, so I have like no clue what this is, but it's a really lovely color. I'm a huge fan of blue, and this is really blue. And the silk is also really soft and shiny, so I think it looks really good as a December bow. I didn't have that much yarn, so I made the bow a lot smaller. It's a couple of centimeters shorter, and I also did half of the increases that you're supposed to do, because I thought if I did less increases I would still be able to knit it quite long, because you need it to be quite long to be able to like tie it into a bow. And I thought the like fewer stitches I have, the easier it will be to get it long. So I did half the amount of increases, and it did turn into a really pretty bow. Also with the double knitting you're doing at the end and tying around, I tied that around the whole thing, because that seemed the easiest to me, and what would like let me get away with the least amount of sewing, so that goes around the whole thing, and I'm just really happy with how this looks, and it also ate up the whole scraps. Now I don't have any more of this either. I don't know if I'm going to make this something that will hang somewhere, or if I want to be able to wear it. I think it would be quite a cute wearable, since it is smaller than the original pattern. It is a bit easier to handle, and also since it is silk, I don't want it to just be on my Christmas tree or something, since it is such a luxurious yarn, but I haven't decided 100% what I'm going to do with it, and of course nothing has then weaved in because I've just been knitting, but I did assemble this, which I'm quite proud of doing, and it's a super cute project number 100, and the last finished project this week. It's been, as I said, a crazy week, and the craziness did not stop there, because while I haven't finished any other projects, I have been at work with my other projects. Here is the basket where I kept all of my scrap yarn, and at the beginning of the month it was full, and it's still full, and we only have a couple of days left, so stressing me a bit out, but I think after this crazy week that it might actually be doable, which might be the craziest part. But in here I have almost a finished mitten. This is the Oneday Selbu mitten, which I started knitting yesterday. I knit this yesterday morning, just one mitten. I still have not made the thumb or started on the second mitten, but I've made this. I made my friend mittens like this for Christmas, but like the opposite. So the main color for her was this green-blue one, and then the pattern was in the white, but I didn't know if I had enough of the blue, so I decided to swap it, and I've been really insecure about that decision until I saw it in the camera now. It's been kind of hard to make a decision just looking at it in person, but I think the pattern shows up really well. Actually, I've been looking at it probably too closely and second guessing myself all of the time, but I think you can see the pattern rather well on camera, so it's probably just me overthinking it. It's super cute. I'm really excited to get this. I've been kind of jealous of my friend ever since I gifted her these because they are so soft, and finally I'm almost getting my own pair, and also in time for fall and winter to come around. So I'm just waiting until I get my second pair and a thumb for this one, but this is amazing. Probably one of my favorite makes of this scrap yarn challenge, just because it is actually something for myself. But as I said, almost finished the one, so it doesn't count. And then I have started on multiple other projects. I also yesterday started on this. This is the Ankers blouse by Petiteknit that I'm knitting in another hank that is unknown to me. I think it's Isle yarn something. This is about 350 meters of 100% wool. It's like sport weight, fingering weight, something like that. So I thought it would be perfect for the Ankers blouse. I'm making size 1 to 3 months. I thought I might make size 0 to 1, but you get more use out of 0 to 3 months, and I think I have enough yarn, so I've decided to do that. I made the yoke yesterday and separated for sleeves, and then I've done a little bit on the body today. I think this is a bit over halfway done. It's really nice with baby clothes how quickly they are to knit up. This also, I still have faith that I'm going to be able to knit this in the size that I want to with enough yarn, because I can't get more of this yarn, so it just has to work out. It's not similar to anything else I have. Yeah, so that is the Ankers sweater in this lovely pink. It isn't the best stitch definition because of this wool, but I hope that once I wash it that the ribbing will look better. I am quite pleased with how the plain stockinette is looking, but I hope the stitches will look a little bit prettier, more put together once I wash it. But I think this will also make for a great gift, just a plain little pink Ankers blouse. Ankers blouses are great to give away, and they're also really quick to knit up. And then also yesterday, I think I cast on a lot of projects yesterday. I started on this one, but I only made the neckline of this yesterday, and then I've done the raglan and a little bit on the body today. And this is a pattern that's not really recognizable now, but this is the teddy bear sweater by Petiteknit. Again, I love Petiteknit when it comes to baby patterns. And this is my attempt at getting through my smallest scraps of mohair, but I think it's frying my brain to try to do it because I'm trying to make it pretty, but my mohair scraps aren't really super compatible at the and also I'm holding it with a DK weight yarn to make it the right gauge, and there I'm using some leftover Charisma. This is leftover after my Moby sweater, so I'm really getting a lot of different yarn out of my stash with this challenge. I've knit so much this last month, especially this last week, but it's Charisma, and then at the top here it's Charisma plus pearl pink mohair from Drops. All of the mohair is from Drops. And then here the mohair is mauve, and here it's chocolate. Let me try to show it to you better. So pearl pink, mauve, chocolate, mauve again, and now I'm at red. I want this to have kind of like a pinkish hue. I have some brown in here, but I thought that worked. But now I've added in red, and as you can see, that is a lot brighter than the other colors. But it was the only other like pinkish hue I had. So I hope that works, but this is frying my brain trying to figure out what works and what does not. I cannot figure it out. I have some other scraps. I have this blue scrap, but that is not a pink hue, and I don't know how that would work with the rest, but that's a possibility. Please let me know what you think. I have grey, which might be a bit boring again for a baby knit. And then let me see in here if I have another. I also think I have a green mohair, but that I can't find in here right now, but that's like a dark green, which might again be overpowering and not a pink hue, so I don't know. I've also run out of all of these colors, so my scrap of red is quite big, so I could do the rest of the sweater in red, but will that be like too much? Should I mix in some of the blue? I have some beige up here. This is like all of my mohair, so I have some beige there, I have some white there. I don't know what to do, but this is my teddy bear sweater, mohair sweater, and hopefully it will be really pretty. I think it will be like a fun sweater, hopefully, and also knits up really quickly. This is in the size 3 to 6 months, which is the smallest size in the teddy bear sweater. And so far, I'm a fan. Hopefully I'll stay a fan. I just need to figure out what I'm doing from here. And then, of course, at the bottom of this basket, I have the other projects I hope to get to. I think I have 2 pairs of socks left that I want to do. And of course, finish the current project. And then, what else is there? I think there's one more Little Sisters romper actually in a hand-dyed yarn. The other hand-dyed yarn. This is from the same maker, like the same brand. They're both equally hard to figure out what to do with, but I think this will make for a nice Little Sister romper. So I have 2 pairs of socks and the Little Sister romper, and then I also think some of my scrap yarn was supposed to go to make crocheted flowers, so I still have quite a lot left for it almost being September, but as I said, it's not really the feat to make some of these projects a bit into September. I just have to like be able to flip a switch in my brain. Hopefully I will be able to do that. But yeah, that was my crazy scrap yarn week. It has kind of fried my brain. I hope I didn't forget anything. I also have one more finished project actually that isn't scrap yarn. I finished my father's felted slippers this week, just to give my brain a break from always. Also with scrap projects, I'm always playing yarn chicken, which adds another like level of stress to it. I'm really thankful that I'm getting through so many of my scraps, but I don't know if doing it like this has been worth it. I think doing it all in a month is great. Next time I need to do less. Sometimes less is more, but I've been able to get through so much this 1 month that I'm going to be able to take quite a long break from doing scraps. But yeah, I made my father's slippers. These are again in Nepal. I think the Nepal color for these is orange, which is a lovely color. I chose this color for my father because I've already made him a zipper sweater in this same color that I gifted him for his birthday a couple of years ago. So I thought having matching slippers would be great. He also really enjoys like orange rust, burnt orange kind of color. So I really hope that he will enjoy this. So that's another project I finished. I don't know how many projects I ended up finishing. It would I'm maybe going to count over them afterwards, quite a lot. But I also have some other things to show you that are not whips or finished objects, because even though I know that I am on a like stash busting journey, my mission isn't primarily to stash bust or to get through my stash. My mission is just to be really mindful of what's in there, and that I don't buy yarn for new projects before I look at what's in there. But this week I have added to my stash. First of all, I added to my stash with this yarn. This is Isager, the first time I've ever had Isager in my house, Isager anywhere near me, which is really excited. I'm really excited about it. I've been looking at Isager for years, just drooling at it. And I finally got my hands on it because I'm going to be test knitting. I haven't gotten the test knit pattern yet, but that's probably going to happen next week. So I'm going to be able to show you my progress next week. This is Alpaca 2 in the color 33, which is kind of like a burgundy caramelly type of color. And then you have this Isager tweed in the color autumn, or yeah, the color is actually called autumn, so perfect pairing now that we're entering into autumn. I'm really excited to knit with this, but it didn't help my stash shrink. But as I said, the goal is not to have the stash shrink, but to be mindful of what gets invited into it, and being mindful of maybe knitting from it before I invite more things into it. But Isager has been on my wish list for years, and this opportunity to test knit and get the yarn, I couldn't let that go past me. So I got this yarn and I'm in love with it. I'm so excited to actually get to knit with this. I don't think I've ever tried to like properly knit with a tweed yarn before, so that's also going to be an interesting experience. But yeah, super excited to knit with this. And then I actually bought the yarn. That is, I've said to myself that like gifted yarn or like inherited yarn or anything like that is 100% allowed, but I'm not really supposed to buy yarn, especially not on a whim. But I also have one agreement with my husband, and that is that if I ever see this one specific yarn color from Sandnes Garn, that I'm always going to get that, if it is in Petiteknit, if it is in merino wool, if it is in any of the fibers, I'm always going to get this yarn. And this week I saw it at my local yarn store, and the first time I saw it I actually didn't get it. I just came home and told my husband about it, but I was like, oh no, I can't get it because I'm on kinda a yarn ban, and he was like, why didn't you get it? He really loves this color, so I went back and got it because I'm not hard to ask. If you like ask me to get yarn, definitely going to do it. And this time the fiber and the yarn type was Sunday. This is Sandnes Garn Sunday, and this is the color. The reason why I'm allowed or really told to get this color whenever I see it is that this is no longer in production. You see this bright red cross here. This is no longer being produced. This color has been phased out, and it is my husband's absolute favorite color when it comes to anything I've ever knit. And he's like, I'll be so sad if we get to a point, if we get to a size where our son can no longer have anything in this size. So we're just, every time we see this, I'm buying it. I have multiple skeins of it in different fibers in my stash, but just everything this, we're going to get it. So this time I got 11 skeins, and the color of this is 2564. So I've memorized that, just so every time I see the 2564, I know that that's yarn I'm going to get, because there are multiple of these browns that are similar, but the others are more red and not exactly this one. I think this one was called, let me look at the receipt, chocolate truffle, but also this same color before, it was the same color, same numbers and everything. It has been called golden brown, so I think it might depend on the yarn fiber, because I've never bought it in Sunday before, just in other fibers, and then it's been called golden brown, but that is the color. I'm always going to get this. I think we're going to come to a point soon where there won't be able to get more of this yarn because it's been discontinued. I think it started being discontinued 2 years or something ago, and I still find it sometimes, but less and less frequent. So I think we are nearing a point where I won't be able to find it anymore. But that is it for all of my finished project, my current ones, all of the new yarn, everything. It's been a crazy week. It's been fun to get through all of those projects. I have been stressing myself out an unnecessary amount, and I'm also really happy I ended the week off by finding that golden brown yarn. It always makes me really happy to find that yarn, and my husband gets so happy. It is his favorite yarn. I think one day I'll just show him everything that I've found throughout the years just to see his reaction. I'm still to make him anything in that golden brown color. I think I might do that sometime, but also his main priority is just that we have enough of that golden brown to make our son something in every single size. But yeah, that is everything from this podcast. I hope you enjoyed this rambling mess. If you did, please leave a like and a comment. That means the absolute world to me. And if you want to see more from me, please subscribe. Bye!